Okay, we're continuing with...
We had 2 boys in the family, and they were cute little boys, and things were going okay, but then my wife decided she wanted a girl. And I had an assignment in Ajo, Arizona. I was going to work down there for 2 weeks. And my wife went with me, and our goal was, in addition to doing the work we had down there, which was to overhaul a diesel-fired power plant, we were also going to try to manufacture the beginnings of a baby girl. And we did that in that 2 weeks down there.
Yeah.
And so then, in the meantime, not long after that, they started sending me to Farmington, New Mexico. And so we moved to Farmington in August of 1960.
3? You said 3?
I said 3, I'm not sure it's correct. It might have been August of 1962, because I think my daughter was then born in February of 1963. And my wife was expecting when we moved. So I think I misspoke there. I think we moved in 1962.
Okay.
So anyway, we had that cute little white-haired girl, and then about 2 years later, another girl just happened. I don't know where she came from, but it was just kind of a gift that other girl came. She wasn't especially on purpose, but she's a great girl, and she works hard, and I'm really proud to be her father. And so things went along, and I was, of course, promoted and doing well. And then one day in 1976.
What about the house? Are you?
Oh, and then, yeah. My wife wanted a different house, and we were looking at this house. And in fact, that house that we were looking at is on North Carlton. And I said, I can build a house like that. And
It was multi-level, split level kind of a thing?
Well, the one that was a bi-level.
But you saved your marriage.
So
only bought that house.
So we sent, I sent away for some plans. Looked in house plan magazines and got these plans, and was actually maybe starting to move dirt. And I thought, where in the world, if I'm going to build a house, I should have a room. And I had no room in that house. So changed plans and built a house that was going to have a room for me that I still have. That's still my room. And I don't want other people going into it.
Is that way down at the bottom?
In fact, I keep it locked most of the time.
Is that the way down the basement?
It is.
Okay.
It's the cleanest, neatest room in the house.
And so, anyway.
It gets vacuumed about once every 3 years.
So I started building a house. And I bought a couple books and bought a house plan. And then I knew a guy who was a plumber who loaned me some tools. Well, back then, plumbing was done with cast iron pipe. And the pipe was put together with lead. You would put a fiber, kind of like a cloth in it, that was called oakum, and then you would pour lead into these joints, and you would tamp them into to tighten up, to make watertight joints with this lead. Well, that was a big job, because I had bathrooms that were pretty far apart. And then, of course, before this covered up, you plug it and put water in to test it for being watertight. When I water tested it, there were 22 leaks. And the majority of these leaks were because I had tamped it too hard and actually broke the pipe, had cracked the hubs on this pipe.
Oh, no.
And I remember that was a pretty good job. It probably took me 6 months.
Oh, to take that apart?
Of hard work to take apart and repair all that pipe. Well, I didn't tamp it so hard after that. And just a matter of being inexperienced and whatever. Another time, I came home and there was some feces on the floor. and some nails had been poured in the plumbing pipe. And so getting those nails out of the pipe was quite a chore. And I remember the neighbor, there was only one house that was complete in the area, but she saw some kids in that house, and she called the police, and the kids got caught and arrested. And I remember talking to this boy's mother on the phone. There were two boys, but talking to one of the mothers on the phone, and I said, no big deal. I said, just have the boys help me clean up. And she was upset that I expected her son to help clean up the mess in the house. Ultimately, I hired his father as an electrician, and he, the culprit, actually came to work for me as an operator.
And he was my basketball coach.
And he was your basketball coach.
So kids do honor things.
Yeah, he was a good guy when I knew him.
So time went on, and I worked hard, and we had a power plant, and I spent a lot of time at the job, and especially I got calls at night, and things would go wrong, and I'd get called, and my wife kind of liked to go out, and we'd dance and drink sometimes, and I would usually want to go home before she did. In any case, in 1976, one time really close to my my birthday, which would have been my 39th birthday, she said, I hate you, I hate this house, and I'm leaving, and she left. And so my kids and I were kind of left there to do things on our own, and my daughter Shelley really took over, and she made the younger daughter Linda do most of the work.
She's a good supervisor.
And about all I did was the grocery shopping, and the kids really took care of me. But that wasn't bad, and
Jim got married about this time, right?
yeah, and Jim, my oldest boy, got married. He actually got married a year before my wife left, and I kind of thought maybe the becoming a grandmother is part of what made my wife think there might be better things, or that she was losing her youth.
Maybe so.
So anyway, things were great. I had a good job. I had a company car, and my kids were doing okay.
You had a company car then?
I did. Well,
When
in
we got
19
married.
in
You had one then too?
in 1976.
Okay. I guess I kind of forgot.
Yeah, I was on 24-hour call, and
Yeah.
had a company car. And I'd had a couple girlfriends. My daughters liked a couple of them pretty well. And but I was maybe looking for girlfriends, and I never thought about getting married, but I enjoyed female companionship. And one time and in fact I was involved in with a group called Parents Without Partners. And I had met a couple of people, and we bowled and had potlucks. And one time at a potluck, there was a woman that had never been there before. And she was kind of interesting to talk to, and I thought she was exceedingly attractive.
She was.
And maybe a little bit shy, but after this potluck, I said, we're going to go to this bar and do some dancing. Well, she wouldn't go. And I was kind of taken aback by that. But ultimately, she did give me her phone number. And so I called her, and we went on a picnic.
Just the two of you went somewhere?
Just the two of us went on a picnic, and we talked quite a bit. And that Monday, when I went to work, I remember telling one of the guys I worked with, I think I met my dream girl. And 5 months later, we got married. And
A lot of struggle, though.
Yeah.
Dragging him to the altar.
It was going really well, and then there was a brief breakup, and it was Pollyanna's fault, and then
No, And then there was, I
Okay,
think
well-
the real breakup was the plants. It's just he got cold feet.
Okay. Well, but then Pollyanna got things going again.
Yes, he did.
You might give a little detail on that.
You want any details?
Well, just on how Pollyanna
No,
called you
Pollyanna
up.
called me one time. She said, "You leave my mother alone." She said, "There's other girls. You can go with Ann Palmer.
Oh,
You leave
okay.
my mother alone."
Did you even know who Ann Palmer was?
And I didn't know who Ann
No.
Palmer was.
Okay.
But later he did meet her.
But
Then she called you again later.
anyway, a couple of weeks later, she says, "My mom's been so grouchy. Would you come see my mom again?" And,
Well, isn't it interesting though how things turn on something like that?
Yeah.
If she didn't call, it might have just,
It might never.
it might not ever happened.
it would have. I would have.
You would have called.
No, I would not have called.
That's what I thought. It
would
just
not
was
have
going.
called.
Isn't that funny? It turns on something so small.
Yeah.
Pollyanna was really good to pull up again.
But I guess that
Well, then you got married, and it was interesting for me to see that happen, and
And you didn't know.
I thought Bill seemed like he was a nice guy. He was nice to me, but I stayed with Grandma, and I would come and I liked coming, and everybody was friendly, but the house smelled kind of smoky.
yeah.
Did smell smoky. So you might tell a little bit about that.
Well, anyway, I did smoke. I remember my wife had a couple daughters, and she had older daughters that were actually one of the daughters got married 6 days after we did.
Yep.
We got married January 1st. That daughter got married January 6th. We didn't have much to do with them, but we had two daughters, and my wife had a son who seemed quite intelligent, but he was lazy. And I remember going fishing with him. He went to sleep while we were fishing.
I think this is after I was back from my mission.
He went to sleep while he was fishing, and he wouldn't work on Sunday. And I thought that was so strange that he wouldn't work on Sunday. But I remember he said he would work if the ox was in the mire. I remember him saying that.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, as we were decided we get married, we needed more room. So I had some room downstairs, and I actually installed a bathroom and finished up 2 other rooms so that we had a
Oh, that's right. I remember you helped
2
a little
bedrooms
bit with
down
that,
there.
yeah.
And anyway,
And so you got married, and that was in the winter. It was in January, and then what did you do in June? Then
I don't remember.
with this important thing in your life that
On Joe's birthday.
many people have a very hard
Oh.
time. Many people have a very hard time quitting smoking. I mean,
I decided
they try it over
sometime
and
in
over.
there, I was starting to hang around people who were members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and they didn't smoke, and that was pretty uncomfortable. And yet smoking was really important to me. In the meantime, my wife's mother, we used to go out with her, and my wife one time said, "I would be so grateful if you didn't drink in front of my mother." And I remember saying, "Well, if you're embarrassed by me drinking, I won't drink anymore." And so I didn't. But I never drank very
Didn't care
much,
that much
and
about that.
was hooked by it. But smoking was a real problem to me. And I decided I was going to quit June 1st, 1981. And I got a brand of cigarettes they were called Now, and they tasted awful. And so when I had my last one the day before June 1st, 1981, I haven't had one since, but it bothered me a lot, and I was nervous, and I would want a cigarette, and I would reach for it, and it wouldn't be there, and it still bothers me. I'm in the position I would not smoke one cigarette for $1,000. I would not, because I'm afraid if I had one, I couldn't stop with one.
I've had friends at work. They'll quit for a year or two and start again.
Well, I had done that before.
Oh, okay.
I had quit, and so I'm still, and I can't stand the smell of a cigarette. If somebody's smoking, it really bothers me.
Well, that's why I thought it didn't really,
Yeah,
that it was more repulsive now.
it is. but I would like to have a cigarette.
Anyway, there's a certain part of the
I
brain
don't
that's
want
still
the smell of somebody else's.
yeah, but there's a certain part of the brain that's still
But that's really an addictive behavior.
yeah.
So, well, things went along and life just disappeared suddenly.
Well, could I get you to tell? You've told this once before, but I have lost it. I mean, we did the video of this once before, and we're starting to get to that time period where I'm jumping ahead maybe a few years with the Buick Park Avenue that you had to drive on the muddy road.
Oh, yeah.
I love the story.
Yeah, we had
Was this maybe in the first Park Avenue? I'm not sure.
it was, I had a friend named Lloyd Eusted who my first wife and I used to bowl with and had known him for years. In fact, he used to be a milkman. He delivered milk house to house. But he became the sales manager of a Buick dealership. And in 1984, Buick Park Avenue, which had been a rear-wheel drive vehicle, went front-wheel drive. And for some reason I saw Lloyd and he says, hey, take this car for a weekend. I said, I don't want that, Lloyd. I'd drive that and I'll start wanting one. In any case, I took it and drove it and started wanting one.
I loved it. I thought it was the greatest car ever. Yeah.
And I remember it was 140 horsepower, but it was pretty
Still, you know.
it was pretty nice to drive. Well, one time we had gone to Albuquerque to see a girls' basketball game. The Kirtland girls were playing in the state championship ball game. And my wife said, I would like to go by Los Alamos. So we went to Los Alamos and we saw the bombs and whatever and then started home. And the road was New Mexico 126 and we didn't know anything about it. And this was in March.
Seemed like it was on the atlas, so sometimes atlases are as bad as
So
GPSs.
So we got in this road and went down a steep part and the pavement disappeared and we were in mud. And
You couldn't really go back up.
no
'cause
way,
it was steep,
no, it was
yeah.
too steep, no way to go up. So we went on. However, there was no fear because, and we talked about it, I said, hey, we might get stuck. If we get stuck, we'll spend the night here.
It'll
The
freeze.
ground will freeze and we might not get unstuck, but we can run 20 miles.
'Cause
no
you had
problem.
been-
We were in good shape then. We were good runners. So I remember it was 22 miles. We saw two vehicles. One was a four-wheel drive Ford pickup with chains on all four wheels. And the other one was a Chevy Blazer that was stuck. And so driving just as fast as we possibly could, we made it. And every once in a while there'd be a patch of snow.
And you were expecting to get stuck any moment.
Yeah, and every once in a while there'd be a patch of snow.
Yeah.
And the snow wasn't bad. There'd be good traction there.
This
But
was March, it was really the spring thaw.
yeah, I mean, well, there's mud on top and ice underneath.
Oh yeah.
And then suddenly we got the nice pavement. And I stopped then, and that is about as tired as I have ever been.
I'm sure.
And anyway, so we made that okay. And I thought, boy, those front-wheel drive Buick Park Avenues are really great cars.
That's pretty cool.
And a short while after that, Mike and Maybeen had one, and then they went over, and so we bought the one that they had, and we had two of them. And then I saw one on a used car lot that was really a beautiful car, and I really argued with the guy about buying that, and I remember it was $6,200.47, I think. I told him I really want that car, but this is all the money I have. So anyway, I bought that one. And
He was digging around in his pocket.
Was that one for your mom or something? You bought it for somebody.
when we bought that one in 1985, we ordered two of them, one
Okay.
for us and one for my mom.
Okay.
But then that 88, we bought it used, and I loved that vehicle. Well, Cleona got killed. And I'm thinking, I want my wife behind the airbags. So
Saved Cleona.
that 88 Park Avenue, I think Joe Palmer took that off our hands and had it for a while. And I bought a 94 Chrysler New Yorker with airbags. And so, now it's a few cars later. I guess my wife didn't really like our house that much because of stairs. And when I retired in 1994, I said, if you draw whatever you want and I'll build it. So she drew a sketch of a 32 by 40 room that included a kitchen and a bathroom, and I built that room in mostly, I think I completed it not too many months, in 1994. And then after that, what used to have been our kitchen, we changed into a bathroom, and what had been our living room, we changed into a bedroom. What had been our dining room became my wife's closet.
And there was a little pantry that became your closet.
Yeah, there was a little pantry that became my closet.
Part of
And so,
the kitchen eating area.
and so we've been living happily ever after.
Pretty much.
You know, one thing I remember, I was into gardening considerably. And we had some kind of a dinner at our house. Miles and Elsie were on a mission, and Nathan come over, and I remember him commenting, he says, your garden looks as big as my farm. And I remember I really had an impressive looking garden then. And I think I had a lot of Swiss chard, which is kind of a good looking plant.
Yeah.
Leafy.
And I don't have that many good gardens anymore. But
Good enough though.
But anyway, so
More
life,
than we can eat.
go ahead if you want to set that up.